is the grid then lined up, ready to go for the first race of the evening in the Gran Turismo World Series in the Nations Cup. Miyazona will start this one on pole position with Gallo alongside on the front row. This is a sprint race and of course will not only decide the grid for the next race, but it will give them points in this one as well. 12 points to be scored in total in this race, right down to 1 point for 10th position. And you can see there the live points rankings as they sit for now. Kylian Drumont is the points leader, Jose Serrano in second, Takuma Miyazono in third. Three drivers separated by just 1 point for second as well. Jimmy, looking forward to this.
Yeah, Drumont didn't have the best qualifying session earlier on, of course, which is why he's down there in 8th position. But anything can happen. We've got a good few races coming up, and with double points on offer as well. All can change.
Certainly can. So Takuma Miyazono will lead the field across the timeline then as we get ready to get this one underway. There are the competitors in the bottom left of your screen. Nations Cup action at the Gran Turismo World Finals for this race is about to begin. What will happen as the 12 drivers come across the line and we go racing here in Amsterdam. Miyazono leads the field down towards the first corner, followed by Gallo, Lopez, Serrano and De Bruyn inside the top 5. Over the crest of the hill we go. A fast and frightening first couple of corners as they're pretty blind. We don't really hit the anchors until a couple of corners later. And given the fact that the field is quite spread out due to the rolling start, don't expect any moves in the first couple of corners, but especially as we get onto that long back straight and head in towards the hairpin at the end of it, that's when I'm sure we'll see the drivers making their first overtakes for position.
Gallardo leading NSX, leading F40, Miyazono, Gallo and Lopez breaking away from the front of the pack. Also going with them is Jose Serrano. But we're about to get to our first big straight here, our first big slipstreaming opportunity. Who's got the power? Let's find out. Miyazono leads. We go into the dark, into the tunnel for the first time here. Awesome to see all these cars out on track together. Gallo there, deep in the slipstream, big speed in the background. Will he go for a move though? Down towards the left hand, he does. Gallo goes up into the lead. Easy move there for him, using that straight line speed of the NSX. And up into the lead goes Valerio Gallo. Miyazono does try and come back at him. Not quite there. Koki Lopez actually getting past Serrano in the background too, but then also having to vie for position with the AMG driver. So this is getting already pretty feisty. Yeah, pretty feisty in the back as well. And Strozer and Barbara have come together, and there's an investigation going on for that incident. But pretty calm up in front, but for those couple of overtakes. Down through into the final sector we go. You can already see a bit of daylight beginning to build between Gallo and Miyazono. Lopez and Serrano are going to have to be a bit careful if they don't get involved in squabbling for position for third place, because if they do, they will be set to lose a fair bit of time, and it might be difficult for them to make up that deficit as the race progresses on. Meanwhile, the end of the first lap, Gallo it is at least. Lopez picks up a penalty then for track limits, presumably there. Half a second penalty for him. That will drop him behind Serrano when he serves it, and crucially will it drop him behind the likes of De Bruyn, maybe into the clutches of Carrazza for 5th or indeed 6th place. Lopez also a little bit wide at that first corner. That leaves him under pressure here from Serrano, and the Spaniard in 5th place, 4th place rather, can't take this line down. He's got to make every opportunity count while he can. Up the inside as we go through into the left-hander, into the tunnel. Serrano up and through into 3rd place, runs it a little bit deep, but Lopez won't have any chance of retaliation into the next right-hander. Yeah, you can see these guys squabbling and sort of brought Kai De Bruyn back into the fray. In 5th place currently is the Dutch driver in the R32 GTR. Drumont has made his way up to 6th position there just behind him. So good recovery so far, but what an awesome lineup of cars. As I always say this when we use these cars, it's so nice to see all these guys, all these cars on circuit together. This is what Gran Turismo for me is all about right now. Valerio Gallo leading the way in that NSX down on the straights. That looks like a rocket down the straights, Tom. That
yeah, it's pretty handy in a straight line, isn't it, that Honda NSX? So that's good news for him. Meanwhile, behind you see Serrano and Lopez. Oh, Serrano very sideways. There must have been contact going into that left-hander, because Serrano was fishtailing all over the shop going through there. Lopez still sitting in 4th place, and he's got that half-second penalty to serve, as we know, this time around. Drumont, meanwhile, has managed to escalate himself up a few places into 5th from 8th on the grid, and Sasaki likewise up from 10th into 7th position as well. There's a right gaggle of cars here. Oh, Jimmy, there's an R32 Nissan GTR. You might recognise that.
The best car in the field, I think, mate, honestly. So Kai De Bruyn, of course, a man with taste, as he chases Kylian Drumont, and also another very cool car, the Mark IV Supra. So Supra versus Skyline. We're on board now with the Frenchman, Kylian Drumont, and there now is Kai De Bruyn sitting just behind him. Can see the power of this thing down the straight there. 252, 62, 70 like it's nothing. 300 kph plus 200 mile an hour as we go
into T1 there, hard on the brakes. And these cars, they are equipped with the racing hard compounded tyres, but they're definitely not racing cars. They don't have the same sort of agility as our Group 3 or Group 4 machines. So it's all power, and really just try and figure it out when you get to the corner.
Yeah, you can see Drummond there having a good run here on Coque Lopez coming through this first sector. I thought he might have a dive to the inside there, but Lopez defending that line quite nicely. Drummond tried to switch back and go for the sweeping line to gather more momentum as he came through the next series of corners. We'll find out if he's able to do so when we come through into this next left-hander and onto the straight. The exit through here is going to be absolutely critical. Slightly tighter line and a later apex there for Drummond as he tries to carry the speed through that corner, but the legs on that Ferrari looking pretty handy in a straight line as we go through the tunnel, burst briefly into the daylight, then into the darkness. Your eyes playing havoc with you as you adjust and you come back into the daylight, and we head into the braking zone of the next corner. Meanwhile, up in front, Serrano and Lopez are pretty close for company there as well. Sorry, Miyazono, I should say, and Serrano for second place. Serrano's managed to drop Lopez courtesy of the penalty for the Spaniard, and now Jose Serrano, 1/3 of the Nations Cup winners last year, right on the back of the 2020 champion.
Valerio Gallo sort of bolting away though, nearly a second between him and this man, Takuma Miyazono, and Jose Serrano just behind. I mean, these three drivers, the talent they share between them is insane. So fast in Gran Turismo 7 as we go on board with Jose Serrano, just trying to navigate his way through this tight and twisty part of the circuit of La Chicane. This is where these cars struggle the most, and then here's a bit like the best. The big straight here, again in the toe. So great to see Honda versus Lamborghini versus AMG all on circuit at once. Cool, huh?
Oh, it's mega, isn't it? And also, you know, different drivetrains as well. You've got front engine, rear wheel drive, mid engine, rear wheel drive as well. So the different characteristics of that car will come into play at different points over the course of the lap. Meanwhile, Miyazono has got Serrano all over him like a bad rash. He's now got him underneath him as he goes through into the tunnel and into the left-hander. Serrano into second place, and now his next target will be race leader Valerio Gallo, who's some 1.5 seconds up the road.
He didn't put up too much of a fight there, did Miyazono. I think he just understood that, yeah, I've maybe fluffed this corner a bit. I'm just going to open the steering, let Serrano through and chase for now. Let's see if we can catch Valerio Gallo. Behind these guys, by the way, is that man, Coque Lopez. He's just about fending off Kylian Drummond and Kai de Bruin in the Supra and Skyline combination. As we go into the tunnel once more, there is Coque Lopez in the Ferrari F40. Of course, all these cars you've just joined us tuned to over 1,000 horsepower, which means speeds of 350 k's plus before this big braking zone down the bottom. Use the camber on the inside to get the car around. Here's a replay. We're on board with Sasaki lower down the field. We go into the chicane. There's Coque Lopez going wide. There's a car on our inside as well. I think that was Kai de Bruin. As we come back across, is there contact? No, they're just about all avoided, but Sasaki loses the place. There goes Kai de Bruin. Does he get past Kylian Drummond? He does. Up in him goes Kai de Bruin.
Yeah, lovely bit of driving there for the Dutchman then. Just lost out to De Bruin on that last lap though. Must have made another mistake, unfortunately, there for the Dutchman, but good overtaking nonetheless. So that just goes to show how the seas can part when you're racing in such close quarters. So just a reminder, this race, 12 points on offer for the victor. Kylian Drummond was the man who was leading the points. If the checkered flag fell now, according to our point standings, he would drop down to 4th. Gallo would inherit the lead of the championship by 2 points going into race 2, but there's still plenty of time left to run and plenty of time for the complexion of this one to change as we head on to the start of the halfway point of this race.
On board with Garazza. Not seen too much of him in this race. He's in the R34 GTR, the Spec 2 Neo, which goes for 40 billion trillion pounds nowadays. don't ever look for how much that car costs nowadays.
Sasaki, look at that. That's a lunge on the inside of De Bruin going through into the left-hander. I didn't think he was going to make that stick. De Bruin ran a little bit wide. He manages to live to fight another day, but that's a warning sign there, isn't it, for the Dutchman?
Like the traction there of the four-wheel drive from the R30, you just pulled him out of that a little bit. But yeah, as you say, Sasaki looking all over the back of Kai de Bruin as we come now into this left hand. Just seems to have a bit more cornering speed, a bit more able to rotate that car with that mid-engine layout, the rear engine layout that the Porsche is famous for. But you see down the straights, Kai's gone.
Yeah, the four-wheel drive really helping out Kai de Bruin in terms of the corner traction, and that really pays dividends, especially when you are on a long straight such as this. Sasaki just has no answer to it, so clearly the Japanese driver knows that his strength is in the twisty bits, in the corners, and that's where De Bruin in the R32 Skyline is beginning to struggle. Drummond, meanwhile, up the road, now on the back of Coque Lopez, looking to try and find his way past. No, you're not having a fever dream. You have got a Ferrari F40 and a Toyota Supra battling for position here in this race, down through into the left-hander, and surely it's only a matter of time before Drummond starts to attack here.
Yeah, this Supra is pretty much everyone's perspective of what every Supra is. Like 1,000 horsepower, chasing a Ferrari. He's going heavy in the brakes, or runs into the back of Coque Lopez there. A little bit of contact. Kylian Drummond, I think he just sort of let off there and let Lopez keep the position, because you can't bump and run there. You will get a penalty from our live stewards behind the scenes. But look at the legs on that Ferrari out of the corner, so fast in that first part of the acceleration zone. It's only towards the end of the straight does the Supra come back towards it again. So we're really seeing some strengths and weaknesses of these different cars. Of course, the cars all picked by the drivers after their sector qualifying earlier on. So these are all cars that they've chosen to be in.
You see Kylian Drummond there trying to find his way through on the inside. There's a half a gap appearing here. He'll be a brave man if he can stick it through. And he does. Kylian Drummond makes a late lunge there on Coque Lopez. The door was only slightly ajar, but Drummond elbowed his way past, and I'm in the fourth place.
Didn't even invite it, did he? He's like, all right, okay, there it is, off I go. So Drummond now in that Supra, has he been released now? That's the question. Was he being held up by Coque Lopez? But the gap now to the front three drivers is now 4 seconds. Serrano now battling with Valerio Gallo for the race lead. Looks to the outside, round this left hand. It's going to be a long way around for Jose Serrano. Does he make it work or not? No, he's on the high side. Gallo comes back on the low side. Great clean racing between these two drivers, and Gallo just chops him off there. Says, no, you know what? No more. I'm taking the line. And I have to say right now, Serrano looks a little bit more racy than Gallo does. Looks like he has the pace at the moment.
Yeah, just looking at the pace last time around, Serrano 45.7, Gallo 46.2. I know, of course, Serrano would have had the advantage of the slipstream down that long back straight, but still that's a good pace difference between the two. Serrano fastest overall in the first sector this time around, despite being behind Gallo. Gallo runs a bit deep into the penultimate turn. That's a warning sign there. He'll live to fight another day, can park it on the apex, but now he needs a good run out of this final corner, which he does manage to get, and just thwarts the challenge of the Spaniard for the time being. But we come across the line then to start lap 7 at Trial Mountain. Just a reminder, of course, 12 points on offer here in this race, and it could be set to change the championship order.
What, Serrano there going for the drift entry? I'm not sure he meant to do that. I think he panicked a little bit there. It's so funny seeing Gallo come through there all just sorted out and gripped up, and Serrano just all sideways, but kept the car in one place. But definitely lost a bit of time doing that, but putting on a good show for our Dutch audience here. Through the first sector again. 7 laps down, 10 of 10 and 3 remaining.
See how ginger they're having to be on the power going through there as well, just trying to get the power down, aren't they? They've got a lot of performance, these cars, 1,000 horsepower, but the stopping power, by comparison, it's like the brakes are made out of old biscuit barrels at this point, because they just don't want to slow down when they get to a corner.
I mean, to be fair to most cars, stopping from 350 kph isn't the easiest thing in the world, as we're about to see that now. 360 kph I saw there. Jose Serrano, and he almost, as Tom says, misses his braking, almost touches the back of Valerio Gallo there, and you can see there he's just hardly able to control this V8 under the hood of this AMG here. Now in the background, Miazona is starting to slowly come back into the picture, but Serrano's definitely the fastest of these first three, but he just can't find a way by Gallo at the moment.
See the live points rankings then. Gallo, if the checkered flag fell now, would be the winner going into the second race of the evening. 3 races to come here tonight in the Nations Cup to be crowning our world champion of 2024, and it is still very much all to play for, especially with double the points on offer for the final race of the season. Out of the final corner we go, across the timing line then to start lap 8 out of 10 here at Trial Mountain. On board we ride here with Jose Serrano. There's some good battles going on further down as well. Sasaki and Lopez pretty close on track for 5th place. Karatza not far behind Kai de Bruyne for 7th position as well. Coming over the crest of the hill through into that left-hander.
Serrano a bit more composed this time through there. I think he his last lap, didn't he? Look how much closer he is because of it. Now, if he's this close going into the tunnel, it's almost a guaranteed overtake. But Gallo has been very, very strong through this first sector all race. So let's watch on board. Jose Serrano locked on to the rear end of the NSX. Well, Gallo not looking too quick through here this time. This might be Serrano's chance to strike.
You can see some drivers, when we're in different cars, being quite aggressive and soaring their way at the wheel. You can't afford to do that in these production powered machines. It's like driving a spoon through treacle, isn't it? They're just so smooth through those corners, so ginger on the power, so careful on the brakes and on the steering as well. They've just got to try to not upset the balance of the car and keep it as neutral as possible. Here's the slipstream though for Jose Serrano. Bit of a warning shot there for Gallo, but Serrano wasn't close enough on this occasion, so he's going to need to be a bit closer next time around to try and pounce and challenge for position.
I really thought he was close enough that time to have a go, but apparently not. Maybe a bad exit or just thinking better of it. Looking back now from the rear wing of the Honda NSX SX, driven by Valerio Gallo, a man with lots of GT accomplishments underneath his belt. Very, very talented driver from Italy, and pretty much these events don't feel the same if he's not here. As we go down to the chicane, come on to lap 9 very shortly. It'll be just 2 laps to go for Valerio Gallo and his first win in this Nations Cup Grand Final.
I've got to say, I love this Honda NSX as well. It is so nice to see it out racing here in Gran Turismo 7 in the World Finals. I saw one in real life when we were in Tokyo earlier this year, and I could almost have jumped for joy. It's just such a spectacle to behold.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, great to see all these cars out on circuit. Of course, someone between seconds got a replay. Here's Suzuki and Koke Lopez. So Lopez in the Ferrari F40 in front. What's happening here? Goes a little bit wide. Suzuki just manages to sneak underneath there in that GT3 RS. Off he goes up into 5th place, and Koke Lopez will be frustrated with that one.
Yeah, not brilliant for Lopez, dropping down 3 places from where he started. Not ideal at all. It all sort of began really with the penalty that he picked up in the opening stages, and ever since then it's just gone from bad to worse for him really. The upshot is he'll be scoring fewer points in this race. If he finishes 6th, he'll get 5 on the board, but also as well it will mean it will compromise his starting position for the second race, because of course that reflects the order of race 1 here.
Much better exit this time from Jose Serrano. A little bit of wheel spin from Valerio Gallo in front. We're deep in the toe. This has been the Spaniard's best chance at a move on Valerio Gallo. Gallo goes defensive to the inside. Serrano's going to be forced to go the long way around the outside. There's no camber out there. Really hard to keep the car in the corner. Gallo keeps it down low, keeps it tight. Serrano tries to drift around the outside but can't quite make it work. And now Gallo knows exactly what to expect come the last lap. But Serrano ever a threat in the mirrors.
This is going to be so close on this final lap. You can sense it's bubbling up quite nicely. Will it boil over though for any of these drivers as we head towards the final tour here at Trial Mountain? We've seen a couple of mistakes creep in for Valerio Gallo over the course of this race. Seems to have ironed them out though in the latter parts of this, and is parking his car exactly where Jose Serrano doesn't want it. So down into the final chicane we go. Gallo it is that leads from Serrano. This is for pole position and of course for maximum points in the championship as well. Out of the final corner we go. Gallo it is that leads Serrano. I don't think the Spaniard will attack him towards turn 1, not unless he's a brave man, but we know he is a brave man. Surely he's not going to think about it making it stick. No, he lifts off, decides to wait for the right opportunity as this lap unfolds.
Yeah, I mean, he knows that he can get close enough there, but I mean, I would have been tempted if I was Serrano just to put a nose in, just to see if I could distract. Valerio Gallo goes for a dive into the tunnel. Gallo sees it late, just about runs the speed around the outside there, still holds the inside line. Serrano's still second for now, but Gallo he's fully aware of the Spaniard just buzzing around in his mirrors. One small mistake and Serrano's going to be there.
Serrano needs the run of his life through these next couple of corners as Robbie Heck picks up a warning for colliding with another car through this left-hander. It is all about the exit. Serrano's pretty close to Valerio Gallo. He'll have the advantage of the slipstream, and he is closer than he was before. This is going to be the opportunity that Serrano's been looking for to go for the race lead. Gallo knows that, goes defensive, but I'm sure it's not going to be in vain as Serrano pulls alongside the Italian. Side by side we go as we burst into the daylight, into the braking zone. Gallo's got the inside line and the camber on the corner though. Can Serrano firm it around the outside? Gallo manages to hold on to the lead as we come through. Serrano still there on the outside, but has to settle for second best as we come now down into the final couple of corners. This is absolutely spectacular here at Trial Mountain, and Gallo, all he has to do is park his car in the right place to not allow an opportunity for the Spaniard to find his way through the left-hander we go on this short run down into the final chicane, and unless it's a lunge from Serrano, it won't be, because Gallo parks his car on the inside. Serrano will try and get the switch back through into the next right-hander, but he's not going to be close enough. Out of the final corner we go. Valerio Gallo wins race 1 here at the Nations Cup for the World Finals in Amsterdam from Jose Serrano in second, and Takuma Miyazono will come home in 3rd place as well. Absolutely fantastic. What a clean, fair battle out on track, and it is Valerio Gallo who takes 12 points in the opening race of the evening.
Yeah, I mean, if that race is anything to go by, we are in for an awesome rest of the evening. Those guys were going at it for about half the